What's up, everyone? So this is going to be a little bit different type of video than I normally make. In my opinion, as my channel continues to grow, I think it's important to be giving back to the community just as much as I'm getting from it. And this is one of those videos. In my previous line of work, as many of you know, my dad and I had a business together and may not have talked a lot about it, but we investigated car accidents for insurance companies, for police stations. We worked on many different things, military, fire, like I said, police, things like that. Worked on some with like prison buses, some interesting stuff. And I've investigated probably on the order of 1,000 or more major serious crashes, but of course ranging from low speed to high speed collisions, many multi-car pileups, things like that. I've seen a lot of different things, and I wanted to make this video, which I think will help people. In 2026, here we are. There's still people resisting wearing seatbelts, and that is the subject of this. So please set aside your preconceived notions or what people have told you or random things, and just hear me out for a minute. I want to let you know I'm a normal dude. I have my own proclivities to rebelliousness and things like that, but I want to have the highest survivability for my viewers. A lot of my videos revolve around the use of trucks and vehicles and things like that. Seatbelts, as a fact, as a rule, per the data, improve survivability across the board in every single collision that you could be in. That's what the data says. And here's what I'm going to tell you as a reconstructionist. Seatbelts improve your survivability, period. You need to be alive in order to do something after you have a crash. There's a lot of people who think that seatbelts don't help or matter, or maybe they think that they make it worse. Let's have a conversation about that. Your vehicle, your modern vehicle, has layers of crash safety built into it. It starts off with the front of the vehicle with the front bumper crush zone, your 5 mile an hour and less bumper that is designed to absorb a 5 mile an hour or less collision without causing structural damage to the rest of the vehicle. Behind your bumper, you have different crumple zones. You have layered crumple zones where they're allowed to deform over time as the crash pulse goes through the vehicle. You're within an occupant compartment. Your roof, your A-pillar, your B-pillar, your dash structure, your floor structure, and the lower portion of your vehicle, all of that is designed, well, this portion that I'm talking about is designed to stay rigid. The reason for that is we need to keep the occupant compartment together so that humans don't get crushed. If your space that you're occupying suddenly shrinks, then it causes bodily injury. Another thing, your steering column, your steering wheel, and your steering column are all designed to get out of the way. You have a collapsing steering column, which when the front end crushes in, it allows the steering column to collapse so the steering wheel or the steering shaft doesn't come through your chest. If you change your steering wheel to a more race car-y looking steering wheel, like carbon fiber wheel, aluminum wheel, whatever, all these different things that are made, know that you're decreasing your survivability. If you rip your dash out and put it in an all-steel dash, you're decreasing your survivability. I'm guilty of this. I like heavy-duty off-road bumpers because guess what? When I'm winching somebody out, I want to have a rock-solid bumper and winch mount structure. The problem is that decreases survivability. Mathematically, what we're trying to do here is a crash pulse is a given size, or a change in velocity is a given amount. For instance, we slow down from 60 mile an hour to 0 every single day when you come up to a stoplight or a stop sign, whatever, it doesn't hurt. What if you slow down from 60 to 0? So the same gap in velocity, or the same gap in speed, velocity being feet per second, speed being miles an hour, the same speed has been rubbed off, but let's do it in a short period of time. Hitting a tree, hitting a guardrail, hitting a bridge abutment, whatever. What that is time. Time is shrinking. When you have a crash pulse over a shorter period of time, injury increases as the time shortens. You can have a smaller crash pulse over a smaller period of time, which is more severe than a larger crash pulse over a longer period of time. So what we want to do is we want to prolong the crash pulse. All of these systems work together, the airbags included, to prolong the crash pulse so that your body undergoes delta V, velocity change, over a longer period of time. That's what we need to have in order to increase survivability, prevent organs from getting damaged, preventing digits and arms and things and legs from being removed, feet from getting damage, hips from breaking, all the good stuff. There's a whole, if you're interested in any of this, the bioengineering, the biomechanic people are the ones who are going to be dealing with the human body, what the human body undergoes in a collision. I have friends that work in that field. I don't work in that field. My training has all been in the accident reconstruction perspective. So the energy, the road forces, the vehicle damage, things like that. There's a whole separate discipline of people who are effectively being trained as doctors, if you want, who are highly trained in medical, who are taking an understanding, for instance, from us, or they're doing the reconstruction themselves, find out how large the crash pulse is, over what period of time, and what damage that should do to your body, if that makes any sense. So that's a whole different line of work as well. So I'm not getting too much into medical because that's not anything that I'm a part of. What I can tell you is this. Your seatbelts are very important because they are what hold you in place and begin to decelerate your body. What we want to do here is you're in a capsule. You're all moving at a given velocity. When your vehicle strikes something, it begins to slow down. You are still going whatever speed you were going before the impact. You're going to slow down to the velocity of the vehicle in the post-crash departure. What's going to happen is if they both weigh the same, they're both going to slow down the same amount, or they're going to change velocity and direction in a similar way. If your vehicles weigh a different weight, if you're in a smart car and someone else is in a pickup truck, well, you're going to have a whole lot of velocity change to that smart car, and the person in the pickup truck is going to have a whole lot less of velocity change. Weight wins. That's another part of the conversation. But seatbelt, it is hooking you into your vehicle. It is holding you in place. It is centering you as the driver onto the steering wheel, onto your airbag. It is centering you as a passenger onto your frontal right airbag. It is keeping you the proper distance away from your side curtain airbags and any other airbags that might be in the car. It is holding you in place so that the vehicle's safety systems can start to do their job. There's pyrotechnics in every one of these vehicles that they're called pretensioners. They're going to yank really hard on the seatbelt. You ever gotten in an accident, notice your seatbelt's all locked up and whatever? They're going to yank really hard, and what that's going to do is make sure that there's no give. When you get into your vehicle, take up some of that distance when you get in so that your lower lap belt isn't super loose, and that's going to prevent injury for your pelvis and things like that. You want to have all that stuff tight. So when your pretensioner goes off and yanks really hard on this upper belt, your bottom portion is tight too. We want to have that happen. So your seatbelt is your first line of defense in it. So it's holding you into the seat and keeps you in the vehicle so that you don't start hitting things. You want to start decelerating with the aid of your seatbelt and your seat drawing you down. Your seats are just as part of your restraint system as anything else. It is cushioning your body. It's holding your body in an angle that is good for your muscular and skeletal structure, and it is allowing you to stay in place as you decelerate. What we don't want to do is we don't want to hit our bodies on something hard. The steering wheel, the roll bar in this Jeep, that's what the airbag's for, the roof structure, everything else, all these things are hard objects, and they're going to cause whatever your deceleration is over a shorter period of time. Imagine if you have a structure and you punch a piece of steel, that energy transfer to your hand is going to hurt a whole lot, right? And it's going to happen extremely fast. Now punch a pillow. You ever punched a pillow? When you punch the pillow, it takes forever for you to finish the punch because it's like the pillow just keeps moving. That's exactly what the safety systems are trying to do. Between your crumple zones working together with, the whole layering of your crumple zones working together, then with your seatbelt, your pretensioner, and your airbags are all there to slow you down, to prolong your delta V. Instead of you having a collision that takes, where the whole crash pulse is 50 millisecond, 100 millisecond, we want to push it out to 120, 140, 180 maybe, if we're lucky in a modern vehicle. And depending on the vehicle, you could even have 180 plus millisecond crash pulse in a serious collision if you have an excellent restraint system and an excellent crumple zone design and things like that. What we certainly don't want to do is having the body deform. You start having portions of your like your foot box get compromised, and then your feet, your legs, and your hips and everything get damaged from getting pushed in. No, it's not relevant to seatbelts, but all of these things work together, and they're predicated on you being in position when this happens. Couple things more about position here. Your seatbelts, anyone ever heard someone say, oh, my airbag didn't fire? I've literally seen people post, oh, my Chrysler this or that is junk because I just got in an accident, my seatbelt or my airbag didn't fire. There is a criteria built into the airbag control module that decides how much to fire your airbag and when to fire your airbag and if it should even fire your airbag. There are timers that start as soon as a crash pulse is sensed by the airbag control module, and it may assume this is literally an accident that we reconstructed. A person goes off the road, hits a mailbox, goes to the ditch, ramps the ditch, hits a tree. So you have mailbox, ditch, landing, tree. A whole lot of time has passed between leaving the road, and I think it hopped a curb too. Hopped a curb, hit the mailbox, went in the ditch, hit a tree. All of these impacts and all of this time went by, and it was presumed by, or the way it's calibrated is the ECU is presuming that you're out of position. If it fires the airbags, it can't have you over here, and it can't have you over here, and it can't have your head close to the wall, and it can't have your body close to the steering wheel. If the prerequisite for the airbag to go off occurs in a short enough period of time that it's assuming that you're still held in your position, it's going to fire. If it assumes that you're out of position because of all this acceleration that's going on in the vehicle and you're moving around, swaying this in here and there, it may not fire your airbags. Know that going into it, that it's not that your vehicle's bad because your airbags didn't fire. It may not have fired the airbags to protect you from getting more injured. Could you imagine having your face way up here by the steering wheel and then having the bag go off right in your face? We don't want to have that. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, it's going to assume that you're out of position in a shorter period of time because your body, the vehicle is moving all over the place. You're not restrained. You're going to go flying every which way. You're going to be out of position. It doesn't want to have the bag go off and throw you into the back because you're up here at the dashboard. Bag goes off, boom, knocks you in the back. Okay? So that is the first layer of why the seatbelt is important. Next layer, you don't want to get ejected. I've worked on many, many ejection cases. They do not go well for the occupant. Besides the fact that I've seen humans go out of the windshield of like my Jeep Gladiator that has a teeny weeny little windshield. Let me tell you, a human can go out the windshield. It can go out the passenger side. It can go out the back window. I've seen it all, okay? Not only does it hurt your body going out of your vehicle at that speed, you're going to catch your legs and everything inside the car going out. You're not going to be in good shape. Now you're hitting the roof, but here's the problem. You either end up on the road and you get run over by somebody else, or you get hit by the car that hit you. Seen that before many times too, where there's a body impact onto the A-pillar, the roof, or the hood, or the bumper of the vehicle that hits you. So you get rear-ended, you ramp out the back window because your car got accelerated so fast that you went backwards, out the back window, get smoked by the car behind you, so you get hit twice. Not a good survivability thing for you, okay? That's bad. Another thing, if you're not alive, this is the other thing that really irritates me. We're going to kind of conclude this conversation. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying this conversation, I'm only making this video for you guys. I'm making it to help people. These are the same things I tell my family, my friends, whatever. Not all of them listen to me, and not everybody's going to listen to me in this video, but I want you guys to be as safe as humanly possible. I have seen people and I've heard people say, oh, I was in an accident. A police officer told me that if I would have been wearing my seatbelt, I would have died. Oh, boy. Does this police officer have any accident reconstruction training at all? I don't know. Most of them don't. I would be very, very careful what opinions you're getting from someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. It's a bit like someone giving you medical advice when they ain't a doctor or when they're not even studied on the thing. It doesn't... Just be real for a second. You can self-educate yourself in whatever you want. You could be more knowledgeable than someone who went to college or went to special training for whatever. You can self-educate yourself. But there are a lot of people who want to sound like the hero in the thing. And I've literally read transcripts of officers saying this exact same thing. They want to be the hero in the conversation. They want to sound like they know it all. They want to have their moment. And they say something really stupid like that. You've got to be alive in order to get out of the car. If the car is burning, or if you're crushed, or if the car's sinking in water, or whatever is going on, you've got to be alive to get out of the car, and you've got to be alive to get saved. If you're not alive, none of these things matter. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, the chances of you being alive and able to extract yourself from the vehicle in the case of it burning or sinking or whatever is drastically lower if you're not wearing your seatbelt. If you're passed out, and a lot of people who aren't wearing belts are passed out post-collision, they get helped by a bystander, get woken up, things like that. It is a very bad situation for you if you smoked your head. With my seatbelt restraining me here, the chances of me hitting my head on the steering wheel, on the dash, on the windshield, dudes, if you get in an accident and you're not restrained, your head, your melon is going to hit the windshield. There's going to be a big old spider crack mark, big circle where your head went through that freaking windshield. Do you have any idea how much that's going to hurt and knock you out and cut you up? See that all the time? It will cause massive, massive injury, and you may not get out of the vehicle. I had a friend who wasn't restrained, and he did eventually wake up and get out of the car. The vehicle crashed, caught on fire, and he was in there in the burning vehicle for a long time and suffered very, very serious burns. Was in the burn unit for a long time. And as far as I know, he wasn't belted. We're going to be very careful with that, because as far as I remember, I don't go out of my way to ask people a lot of questions after a traumatic experience like that. I'm pretty sure that the thing was he wasn't belted. Seatbelts, they are made to come off when they're under load. So getting hung upside down is, first of all, extremely rare. Super duper rare. Second of all, you should be able to reach down and hit your belt. Third of all, highly recommend you have something in the vehicle that's capable of cutting belts. A really good pocket knife, perfectly capable of cutting belts. Problem with it, the blade is exposed. If it's a dynamic situation, you could get extremely hurt with that blade being exposed, and you're trying to cut away the belt. You could stab yourself, you could stab your friend. A seatbelt cutter is a good thing to have in the car. They're not very expensive. You get them off Amazon in probably like a 5 or a 10 pack, and keep several in the door pockets of all your vehicles or something. Now, the door pockets. Accidents tend to cause things to move. My Jeep has door pouches that actually like hold things in the door. Your vehicle may just have an open chasm of things, and that thing's going to go flying. You're not going to know where it is. A good place for it could be the center console, could be the glove compartment, could be in your pocket, in your hoodie pocket. I'm wearing a hoodie right now. Something in the middle of the hoodie pocket probably won't go flying. Having a seatbelt cutter or 2 or 3 or 4 in your vehicle is not a bad way to go, in my opinion. I was just watching some videos on the Tesla Cybertruck, and they have in the front seat, of course, those things have buttons to get in and out. They have emergency levers that you're supposed to pull if something goes wrong. In the back seats, you have to take a trim panel away to grab the little pull thing to pop the door latch if the vehicle lost power. These are things you're going to want to broach with your people who are riding with you before they ride with you, so they know how to get out of the vehicle in an emergency, because you could be out cold or something. Maybe they need to help you and you're not able to help them. They need to know how to get out, whether it's your kids or whoever's just riding your vehicle. They need to know how to get out of your vehicle. They need to know where your emergency stuff is in your vehicle. Having on board a tourniquet and things like that, a boo-boo kit, all that good stuff might be a really good idea to have. I highly recommend that everyone take the time to take a emergency med course. There's tons of them probably offered in your local area. They're not super expensive. And I just really think everyone is going to encounter a situation in their life at some point where they're going to want to have that knowledge to save their family member. You go with that information, this whole video. You go with this information and you use it however you want. If you hate the idea of seatbelts, you never want to change, that is unfortunate, I think. I feel bad for you. I hope that nothing bad ever happens to you, and it may not. I mean, a lot of people go through their lives and never have a car accident, and I hope that for everybody. But the reason I made this video is in my time growing the business with my dad, I worked on many fatal cases, and the majority of the time, if someone died in a modern vehicle, they weren't wearing a seatbelt. How do I know that? The majority of what we do these days is image the EDR, take the image, and in the EDR image, it tells us everything we'd ever want to know. Vehicle speed, engine RPM, gear position, tire pressure, wheel speed, everything you'd ever want to know. But guess what it also tells me? If you're belt buckled and where people are sitting. A lot of vehicles will also give a criteria. There's a few criteria. Empty, nobody's sitting in the seat. child, small woman, adult male. Those are generally your criterias. And what do they use those for? They decide how hard to shoot the bag. If no one is sitting in the seat, they're not going to shoot the bag. If a child is sitting in the seat, they're not going to shoot the bag. If it's a small woman, they're going to maybe do a half full or a delayed bag deployment, and it probably won't be fully utilized because they don't want to hurt them and because they don't need to. It's assumed that with the small woman that the seatbelt is going to do the job. Reiterating really quick, if you're not wearing your seatbelt, it is unlikely that your bags are going to fire. Some vehicles may have a criteria that they have their safety system and the distance between the driver or the passenger, the seat, your seating position and the dashboard, things like that. Maybe they will fire the bags if you don't have a belt on, because they found a way in crash testing that they can save you or help you delay or prolong your crush pulse exposure by using the bags, even if you're not seated. A lot of vehicles are not going to fire the bags if you're not wearing your seatbelt. There are, we've had cases where there was a small woman driving, because you could see small woman, and then a full-grown adult in the passenger seat during the collision. Except for when you read the police report, the driver was the 49-year-old parent, and the 16-year-old learner's permit child was said to be in the passenger seat. Guess what? So know that as vehicles get more and more complex, your chances of lying are getting lower and lower and lower and lower. One more thing. All these modern head units, they're recording everything that you do in the vehicle. They're keeping track of who's been in your vehicle because of the Bluetooth signal of their phones. A lot of cases are being solved right now, legal cases. By that I mean like criminal cases. They can figure out who is in proximity of your vehicle. If someone is outside the vehicle, and for instance, worked on a case where someone from inside the vehicle shot at someone from outside the vehicle, and they figured out who they shot at because the vehicle picked up the Bluetooth signal from the thing, or from the head unit. We didn't have the imaging capability. There's a guy that we would call to do all those images that would get the head unit image. It keeps track of your GPS location, how fast you're going. At some point, I'm sure it's going to self-send your traffic violations. I'm sure we're going to get to that point. As much as I don't believe in that from a freedom perspective, but it's going to get that way, I'm sure. But I can assure you right now, and for the last 10 years, especially GM and Ford head units have been listening to everything that you've been doing. It knows where you've been. If a private investigator, like if your wife hired to see if you're cheating, they can figure out where that head unit's been, and they know exactly where you've been. They can image the EDR, they can hook up to your OBD2 port. Instead of imaging that, they're going to image the other module. Cadillac has a module like that. So know that the technology that is going on within accident reconstruction is fascinating. On the one hand, I'm making this video, and this has gotten really long. My dad and I, we doubled the business size when I joined him. And not that that matters. That's not the point. But the thing is that I really enjoy doing that with my dad. And I really enjoy this from a helping people standpoint, because the number of cases that we worked on where someone was falsely being accused of being the aggressor or the person who caused the collision, and we image both the EDRs and find out that isn't entirely about what happened, or that's entirely false compared to what actually the EDRs say the vehicles are doing. I love analyzing this data because it stands on its own. It doesn't lie. It's the truth. And it is entirely accepted in all courts in North America that the EDR data is gospel. It's the truth. It can't be tampered with. It can't be modified. I love that. It's fascinating. I'm making this video, I guess to start out, it really is about you guys. I want to keep everybody safe. But it's reminding me that I do still have a soft spot in my heart for this. Because of me taking care of my dad, we basically closed up shop because I couldn't do work and take care of my dad. He was the priority. And his care was way in excess of what anybody could ever pretend to run a business and do. And that's entirely okay. I don't have any, I just nothing but smiles. I love taking care of my dad. It was the best thing I've ever done in my life. But look, making this video, I definitely feel something still there with doing the reconstruction stuff, because it in my dad's own words, it felt like we made a difference. And in a world of such toxicity, and that's why I was happy it was over. The toxicity and the people lying and the horrible attacks that people would do because they were lying. One of the things you're going to notice, whether it's in politics and the media and all the stuff, when people are in the wrong, it's when they make the most outlandish and awful attacks on everybody else, because they got nothing else to go on. And that was the same with this. And I didn't like being attacked. I didn't like seeing my dad when he was putting my heart into things getting attacked. I didn't like any of that. And I still don't. But I definitely still have a little bit of a heart or a soft spot for it. Between when we had friends who would get into accidents, they asked us to look at their data and tell them what they did wrong, or if they had a kid who was in an accident and gave us the data and we're like, hey, tell us what our kid did wrong. And it was really interesting to see when people were telling the truth. The one that really stuck with me, I'm not going to say any names out here, of course, but an individual who was a very close friend of ours, his son got in an accident in his company vehicle. And his son was telling 100% of the truth. EDR said exactly what he said. No lies, 100% of the truth. And that is an excellent example of what a good person is. When they're under pressure and when they know there's a lot to lose. If I remember correctly, he was just outside of, just gotten his license. And so getting an accident, an at-fault accident that soon after getting your license does not bode well with the insurance company. He told the truth. The EDR confirmed they told the truth. The police accepted the truth. And nothing came of it, or nothing bad came of it for him. And that's the way that these things are supposed to work. But unfortunately, we saw so much of people who were in the right and getting sued because they had deep pockets, or because their insurance company had deep pockets, really what it is here in Michigan. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this a little bit different pace, but sort of on the subject of using these things, people wonder why I'm kind of a safer guy. It's because when I see these things, they leave an impact that I don't want to be in that boat. I want to be on the safe side. I want to go 10 mile an hour under the speed limit. It's better than going 10 mile an hour over, at times. When it's not safe to do something, slow down. And the biggest thing that I learned with this, first of all, wear your seatbelt. That's the point of this conversation. Leave ample following distance and pay attention. Distracted driving is the root cause of most collisions in the United States. And in my opinion, forget the data, the secondary root cause, because we were doing really cool stuff and taking the vehicle speed of both vehicles, the time, I'm trying to remember how an example of this, but we were figuring out the following distance between the two vehicles to figure out the vehicle behind was leaving a following distance. And I'm trying to remember how we were doing that, but basically we had both EDRs, so we had both crash pulses. We knew who got on the brakes first. We mapped out time over distance for the front vehicle, so when they were all cruising the same speed, the person hit the brakes. We were doing things like that. So it was very complicated, but it was fun to see someone leaving 30 feet of following distance and then they smoked the person in front of them. That's why. Leave ample following distance. It's the biggest and easiest way for free. If everyone is doing 62 miles an hour, don't follow everyone in the back. Back up. Go 62 mile an hour. Leave that, 50, 60 yards of following distance so that you can easily stop for anything that happens in front of you. And you're going to see everybody else in front of you have issues. And you're going to be back there saying, I'm glad I left that following distance. So hopefully this video helps at least one person. When I went about making my YouTube videos, it was like, if I can make a difference to one person, I've done my job. So let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. Be super safe out there. It's wintertime. There's accidents everywhere. I just watched somebody do some of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen today, just driving to the bank in town and going to go eat some dog food and stuff like that. I can't believe how people behave when they shouldn't be in that big a rush. Mind-blowing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down below what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, if you hated it, if you liked it. And if you stuck around all the way to the end, let me know. It'll make me really happy to find out what you guys think. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day.